Affordable housing is a concept that has been created to give the middle class homes in cities where housing has become highly priced and has become literally out of the budget of the middle class. We are talking about people who earn 5 to 7 lakh rupees a year. Now, these people are not exactly poor people, but depending on the city you are in, there are times when they are not in a position to buy a home for themselves for the simple reason that homes have become so high priced and exist only in the luxury segment that they are virtually out of the reach of most Indian citizens. Affordable housing is a laudable concept, but unfortunately, affordable housing is no longer a laudable effort. What is happening in the name of affordable housing is trying to give people 600 square feet of area to live in. Take the case of a family, a husband, wife, and 2 children being cramped in a small space of 600 square feet, where they will have virtually no place for physical activity. Will this affordable housing concept then enclose gyms, fitness centers, a park for them to walk in, or give them all these facilities as well? There are certain medical and health implications when it comes to living in confined space. The urban poor or the urban middle class who come live and work in cities come from distant towns, small towns, to make a living for themselves there. They should not be asked to live in concrete slums. Affordable housing should be at least spacious enough to provide decent accommodation for a family of four. It should at least be in the range of 150 square yards rather than 60 square yards. The other thing is, take the case of the way our politicians live. Politicians live in Lutyens' Delhi in bungalows that are almost 1 acre in size. Is it right? Is it right for these representatives of the poor to live in bungalows the size of 1 acre, while on the other hand, they are actually championing the cause of affordable housing, which is 600 square feet for poor people, or are actually the urban middle class? These are issues that the politician of the day has to look at very closely. Politicians of yesterday who actually went out of their way to sacrifice their lives during the freedom struggle. They traveled third class by Indian Railways. They thought of the people first and themselves later. It was only after independence that the situation began to change for them. Today, the challenge before politicians is to arrange cheap and easy finance for housing for the middle class in urban centers. Today, they have many examples of how governments have taken action in the past. For example, take the case of Zamindari abolition that was done in 1954 to provide farmers land so that they could do affordable farming. Then, the nationalization of banks by the Indira Gandhi government to introduce the concept of social banking in India so that the middle class and the lower middle class could avail of bank facilities. Today you have the Prime Minister's Jan Dhan Yojana and the Jan Dhan accounts for the simple reason that banks have been nationalized in India, and banks handle a series of functions from pension management to social banking to loan mailers to what have you. Now, simply the government has to look at housing projects that are taking place all over the country. Look at what's not selling and why it's not selling. See whether these projects can be taken over and converted into affordable housing. The question of the day for the government is, how do you house people in cities in such a manner that they can live and be healthy rather than cramping them up into concrete slums where you will actually be just replacing a mafia run chawl with a government approved concrete slum.